Hello Wolfpack, Bitcoin is on the 30k support, and as predicted in my last video, we have seen a bounce from 30k all the way up to 33k in form of a wick with a very high volume. In fact, two very high volume candles coming through, volume that we haven't seen since all the way back in December 2021. Two consecutive volume candles we have not seen that high in over 6 months. That is crazy volume coming to the market right now. So when people say crypto is dead, they don't necessarily understand that crypto is by no means dead. Look at the volume coming into the market right now, similar to that of 2021. You know, in a period in which we just exited the bull market, when there was massive stakes in the market, right? This is volume we haven't seen since all the way back in September 2021, when the bull market was starting back up again. Volume we haven't seen since February 2021, when the bull market just started, right? This is massive amount of volume. Yeah, crypto is going down, but it's by no means dead, right? So it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking crypto's dead and all that. It will be dead soon. I'll tell you that much. When we get down to that bottom, we lurk there for a few months, it will be dying. But as of right now, it's still alive and helping. There's still many people who need to be flushed out of the market, as seen by this massive spike in volume, right? If you think that everyone has sold, all the bulls have sold out of the market, you're completely and utterly wrong. What is 30k? 30k is a support zone we've held for 5 to 6 months in total on Bitcoin. Throughout January 2021, throughout February 2021, all the way through May to July 2021. This will be a triple bottom formation. I guarantee you those bullish posts are going to start to show up on your timeline or on your feed on Twitter, where people are going to say, oh look, 1 bottom, 2 bottom, 3 bottom. This is moon time. We're going to go to 100k, right? I guarantee it. People are going to start saying things like that. They already have in my Twitter feed, and I'm waiting for more and more of that hopium to start falling back into the market. And this is what we were talking about yesterday. It's quite unlikely. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible, because it's not impossible, but it's quite unlikely that Bitcoin will just drop straight below 30k. There's going to be some sort of retaliation here, whether it lasts a week, whether it lasts a month, whether it lasts a couple of months. There will be some sort of retaliation, right? We don't know how long it's going to last. It might just be a few days, but it's not just going to drop straight below 30k. We've already seen that retaliation, right? We wouldn't have gone to 30k and then jumped 10% back upwards to 33k. Altcoins going up 15%, every single altcoin up 15% if there wasn't retaliation. 30k is a major support zone. However, you'd be absolutely kidding yourself if you were to believe that this is going to hold for a third occasion, even now when the bull market structure is completely destroyed. You would be absolutely joking yourself. So what we're seeing now on Bitcoin is critically oversold, right? We can see the Bollinger Band showing us we're at the bottom line of the Bollinger Band. So we've been riding that since around March 27th, over a month, almost a month and a half. We can also see stochastic RSI's bottomed out completely. RSI's in the undersold level, and the MACD's at a low point we haven't seen since around February 2022, right? So it wouldn't be surprising at all, as I said before, to see some sort of consolidation. It doesn't have to be a bounce. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bounce, but we could see some consolidation around the 30k region. In fact, we could see consolidation all the way back up to the bull market support band, right? I'm not saying we're going to break back above the bull market support, but I'm saying that when this trends downwards to a level that is adequate, we may be testing that in the future before dropping downwards, right? This drop is no rush. There's no rush in this drop. It doesn't need to happen today. It doesn't need to happen tomorrow. Everyone likes to get very ahead of themselves when drops like this happen. And yeah, it could happen soon. I'm not saying it couldn't, right? It certainly could. But the fact of the matter is, it's very hard to predict when exactly it's going to happen when every single indicator is oversold. The logical process we need to be taking as traders and investors in the cryptocurrency market and any financial market is, when an asset is oversold short term, going into support, you can't expect that support zone to break. Does it mean the support can't break? Not at all. It can break, but you can't expect it to break as of yet. It needs to see consolidation before a breakdown. But as of right now, there's no reason for us to believe it will hold, right? We have seen a bull flag breakdown as seen by those dash yellow lines, and a descending wedge breakdown, as well as many other macro breakdowns, such as this uptrending level of support that stems from May 2021, also 33k. We've lost pretty much everything at this point, but even under that logic, even when we've lost everything, we have to kind of acknowledge the fact that we've gone from 40k all the way down to 30k, a 25% drop in a matter of 5 days. Even when you lose everything, that's a big drop. And there needs to be some sort of recovery period after a drop like that. Now, as I said, whether it be a week of sideways, a little bit of upwards, say go to 36 or something like that, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it would be weird if Bitcoin kept just dropping and dropping and dropping right now. The whole market has taken a massive hit. There needs to be another impulse of a bull trap, another wave of people getting flushed out of the market and caught into a trap, right? Because if we do something like this, where's that going to come from? You know, everyone who's sold at these prices is sold. They're sold already. We need to see something like this sideways to get people hyped up again. Maybe this is the bottom. Maybe this is the bottom. Maybe even a little bit of upwards price action. Maybe this is the bottom. Maybe Bitcoin's going to go into a bull market now. Maybe this is a triple bottom formation, right? And then we dump down after we trap some more people in the market. We get some more long liquidations and we go down further. So as of right now, as I said, very hard to say what's going to happen in the short term. Don't expect anything, right? We don't need to drop down right now. We don't need to go up right now. We just need to wait and see what happens. And the critical support zone in this region is between 28K or 28.9K. Let's just say 29K and 30K, right? So provided we're above 29K, we're still in that bullish hopium territory. Now, before I head into the rest of the video, I want to take a moment to shout out my membership, right? So if you click join, go to my channel page, click join, you can see that I have channel memberships here that have been made available in the last day. What you can do is you can sign up to channel membership, 40 AUD a month, which works out to be 28 USD a month, which is chump change for what you're receiving, right? You get 3 to 4 high quality altcoin trading signals that are exclusive to the members. You also get custom emojis and badges next to your name. And you also get, and this is very important, some would say this is the most important part, priority reply to comments, right? As my channel grows, I'm even seeing a little bit of it right now. I'm unable to get back to every single comment. And so if you pay for the membership, I will get back to your comments, or try my best to at least, and include them in the videos. As you can see, at the end of a video, we do a comment section thread. This is going to be for members if we have those member comment available. So priority reply to comments, altcoin trading signals, custom emojis, loyalty badges. You've got it all there. Go ahead and check that out and join up if you want. But moving on, we're going to jump into the macro time frame. Okay, so we can see in the macro time frame, we have the monthly chart on Bitcoin. We have the 21 EMA, a very important line on Bitcoin that typically is one of the major indicators of a big move coming. Every time we've interacted with this line, we can see we drop below it here on the 2014, drop down 50%, drop below it here 2018, drop down 50%, drop below it in the COVID crash, drop down 50%. Every time we lose this line, we drop down 40 to 50%. We've lost this line. Where did we lose it? 37K. What does that mean? It means we're going to go down, well, according to the historical trend, 40 to 50%. What is 40% down from 40K, right? 24K. Our prediction is 24K on Bitcoin, right? As seen by the 4-year cycle theory. This is a major loss for Bitcoin. This line, right? After we lose this line historically, we have never gotten back above it. Ever. Before a 40% drop has occurred. Right? There's been 3 separate occasions. We've never done that before. Similarly, right? We have never dropped below this line after we break above it before a 200% gain minimum has occurred, right? This is a line that you don't just jump up and down between it, right? When you drop below it, you crash. When you get above it, you pump. We've dropped below it now. Not a good position for Bitcoin to be in, and it does suggest further downside is on the way. Now, what we can also look at is the RSI on the monthly chart. We can see on the RSI that 44, right? The number 44 on the RSI has been the macro bottom for both 2015 and 2018 bear markets. We are getting close to 44 right now. This is another reason why I think we need to be seeing a little bit of a bull trap, because I don't expect the bottom to be in this soon, right? I think the bottom will be at 24K to 22K. And so if we're going to drop down to 24K to 22K right now, we would be dropping below this horizontal RSI line. Whereas if we see some consolidation, potential dead cat bounce for a month, right, we would be holding above this RSI line and potentially, getting a little bit higher, and then we can drop down later and we'll be holding support on that RSI line. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. Moving on, what we can see on the 4-year cycle chart, let's jump over to the weekly chart here in the 4-year cycle, and we'll bring up the 200-week SMA, is that the November top was entirely valid, and the 4-year cycle theory is as strong as it's ever been. In fact, it's not a theory anymore, it's a trend, right? The November top is entirely valid, and it does predict, the 4-year cycle theory that is, does predict that we'll be going down towards a 200-week SMA, and we will be getting there before December. So this year, before December, 200-week SMA, that will be the bottom according to the 4-year cycle theory. Does that mean we cannot go below the 200-week SMA? Not at all. We can certainly go below it. However, historically, and based off TA, right, this is a logical thought process. If we drop below it, that will be something we can't predict because it's never happened before. What is TA, right? In a nutshell, TA is taking historical trends, historical data, historical market patterns, applying that knowledge that you've learned about it from the past and applying it to the future to make future price predictions, right? So if something has never happened before on the charts, there is no logical reason to believe it will happen. It will happen. It will occur. And so based off that logic, that is the fundamental, base level knowledge of TA that you need to have. Based on that logic, we cannot expect Bitcoin to drop below 24K. However, we can understand that we are in a time in which we've never seen before on Bitcoin. There is a recession in the United States of America. We've never seen a recession on Bitcoin. We don't know how it's going to react to it. It could drop below the 200-week SMA. And so the solution to that is not to go all in at 24K because that's 100% at the bottom. The solution to that is wait until we get to 24K, see what the reaction is, see how Bitcoin reacts to that price level. If it reacts positively and there's signs of us holding it, then we can buy, right? We don't just buy in blindly and hope for the best, right? We wait for a reaction, we see how it reacts, and then we buy. Because who knows, we might just drop below it. But as of right now, we have no reason to predict anything other than the 200-week SMA at 24K on Bitcoin before December. That is the 4-year cycle theory. Now, the 3-day chart is what I'm looking at that's very interesting here. And it's played out perfectly, right? What did we say? We've said since November, since 60K, since 66K, get out of the market. It's all done. We're going into a bear market, right? That was at 60K. Now, more recently in January, we said, okay, we're going down to 30K by the end of May. Guess what? It's the start of May here, and we're at 30K. That prediction was correct as well. Now what we're saying is that, well, the reason why that May prediction was so compelling is because of the 3-day chart, def crosses, and the weekly chart. But this is the 3-day chart here. We can see every time the 50 SMA crosses below the 200 SMA on the 3-day chart, we see a 50% correction very similar to the monthly chart, right? Happened in 2014, happened in 2018, and it's happening right now. There is no reason for us to believe that 30K will be the bottom here. We will go below 30K, right? Very unlikely that we hold 30K. We will drop below 30K. It's just a matter of when, okay? And when we do drop below 30K, we will be going down towards the 200-week SMA. How do I know that? Because the 200-week SMA is currently, guess where it is? It's currently right here at around 24K. If we flipped over to the daily chart, we can see that not only based on that random 4-year cycle chart that some people might see as ridiculous, right? Based on logic, below 30K, here's the 30K support line. The next support line on Bitcoin is 24K. We are quite literally at the last line of defense before the potential, not certain, potential macro bottom for Bitcoin. 24K is the macro bottom for Bitcoin potentially, and we're at the last line of defense right now at 28K to 30K, right? Moving on. The weekly chart, right? What we can see on the weekly chart is that the Gaussian channel has only flipped red twice in the entire history of Bitcoin, right? It is going to be flipping red in about a week, right? About 4 days, it'll be flipping red again. The only type of times we've seen that is before a 50% correction. Guess what? We're in the midst of a correction right now. All right, moving on from that, the 200, the 200, the 50, and the 75-week SMAs are very important. What we can see is that when the 50-week crosses under the 75, historically, we have been bottomed out on Bitcoin on the 200-week SMA. That will be happening in about 1 to 2 weeks, and there is a chance that we could be bottomed out on the 200-week SMA when that occurs. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen that soon. However, that's what the trend suggests, and so we have to go with it. Now, moving on, we've got Ethereum here. What we can see, Ethereum has had a bear flag breakdown similar to Bitcoin, and it's heading downwards towards 1,700 support region. I think that Ethereum will go much lower than that in the long run. I think Ethereum will bottom out at about 1,300, but 1,700 is the optimistic target there for Ethereum. There's no reason to believe that this price action is bullish. It's simply not. Moving on further, the total cryptocurrency market cap has broken down from a major uptrending support level, this yellow line here. It's actually fallen below the 1.5 trillion support zone, and it's heading straight towards 1.13 trillion, which would line up with probably a 24K Bitcoin or maybe a 28K Bitcoin. Who knows, right? Moving further, the Bitcoin dominance chart, right, is in a descending wedge formation, which is a bullish formation on support with a triple bottom, right, or somewhat of a triple bottom formation, and everything is pointing to this thing going up in terms of fundamentally, in terms of technically, right? So not only is the TA bullish, also fundamentally speaking, when we go into a bear market, people are selling their altcoins and they're flocking into Bitcoin for security because altcoins don't last in the bear market. Bitcoin does. That's proven over historical trends. And so this thing will be breaking out soon, in my opinion, heading upwards, and that will be killing altcoins. Moving further, we have the traditional markets, and this is a very important thing. But before we get into it, I want to check out the BitGet sponsorship. In a time when government regulation constantly threatens crypto investors, being able to access an exchange without KYC being mandatory is absolutely exceptional. This is great for me personally as an Australian because a lot of other exchanges out there like Binance don't allow me to access options due to Australian regulation. BitGet additionally is also host to trading fees even lower than the vast majority of the major exchanges at just 0.2% per trade. Sign up to BitGet using my referral link in the pinned comment below or the description box, and you will receive up to 153 USD deposited into your account as a reward. So to the people who are saying that Bitcoin can bottom out at 30K and everything's going to be all good, you simply are not taking into account the macro picture. The macro picture is that the United States of America is in or is entering a recession, right? The S&P 500 is having its longest correction it's seen since basically back here in 2018. Interest rates are rising, right? We're in descending channel, but TA doesn't really matter in a macro recession, right? The DXY is breaking out massively. It's at 5-year resistance right now, but it's broken out of a 21-year triangle formation as well as an ascending channel formation, ascending wedge formation on a shorter term time frame since back in 2020 November. That is breaking out, right? What happens when you enter a recession? everything goes down. So what do, right? What do people do when everything goes down? They sell their assets. What happens when you sell your assets? You're selling your assets into cash. What happens when you sell your assets into cash? The DXY goes up. What happens when the dollar gets stronger? Bitcoin gets weaker. Okay? Very simple stuff. How do we know this is going to keep happening? Well, bond yields have reached levels we haven't seen since June 2019. All in the meantime, interest rates in June 2019, when bond yields were at that level, were at 2.5%. They're currently at 1%, which means that interest rates are incredibly undervalued. They need to go up at least another 1.5% in order to match the bond yields level it's predicting. Hence, more selling off in the market, because the higher interest rates go, the more companies have to sell off in order to make their deadlines. The more people have financial stress, they've got more repayments to make on their house, their car, whatever, the credit card debt. They have to sell off their assets in the financial markets, sell into cash. The more they sell into cash, the stronger DXY gets, which means the weaker Bitcoin gets. I know I'm rushing through this stuff today, but it's really getting to the point where you need to get this through your brain. I'm trying to get it as compelling as possible. We are not, right? I know there's not many bulls remaining at this point, but we are not in a good macro environment, and we're not in a good TA environment for Bitcoin, okay? Until proven otherwise, we need to be taking extreme caution, right? No holding altcoins, scalp trading only, right? Stable coins, being stable coins and fiat, right? There's no asset that's going to keep you safe right now, right? S&P 500 is dropping, traditional markets are dropping, Bitcoin's dropping, altcoins going down. Luna went down to 60% in 24 hours, for God's sake. You know, that's like the 6th most popular cryptocurrency. It's pretty clear right now. If you haven't been paying attention to what I've been saying, or haven't been paying attention to the general market for the last 6 months, now is the time to wake up, all right? Now, I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you're down 80% in all your coins, you're holding a bag from November 2021, I'm not saying you should sell. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, because that's a unique situation. I can't answer that question without knowing your personal information. However, right, what I am saying is that right now is not the time to be predicting 100K on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is pegged to the traditional markets. The traditional markets are not in a good standpoint right now. There's a reason why institutions are selling their assets. It's because it's not good, right? And if the traditional markets go down, as the current trend suggests, Bitcoin will go down further. The bottom is not in yet on Bitcoin. Okay, I think that's very clear to people right now. You know, I've been saying that since 66K. The bottom's not in on Bitcoin, right? We've had a bear flag breakdown. This is, you know, it's not just beginning, right? It's very well in progress. It's 6 months in progress, but it's not the end, okay? We're in the middle of a bear market right now. We're in the middle of a major correction on Bitcoin. 24K is the minimum bottom, and we could go below that, right? So let's get into some questions here with all this said. We've got Vederansky, whatever your name is. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. He says, in 5 years from now, will it actually matter if you bought Bitcoin at 30K or 24K? So this is an interesting question I get quite a bit. People like to say things like, you know, it doesn't matter if you buy at 60K or 10K, you know, I know I'm exaggerating, but, you know, in 20 years, does it really matter? It's like, this is an excuse that people who make the wrong decisions use, right? If it really didn't matter, you just do it, right? You wouldn't be asking about it. What it seems like to me is that you're trying to justify your decision, even though you know it's potentially the wrong decision, right? Luna, right? Luna, for example. Say you're a massive Luna bull. You're massive bullish on Luna. You love Luna. You think it's going to go 10x in the next 2 seconds, right? You know, what's stopping you from buying at any price then? What's the point of having trading view, right? You just don't look at the chart, just blindly buy it. Of course it's going to make a difference, because not only if you buy at 30K are you putting yourself up to less return on investment, that's what everyone thinks about, but more importantly, you're putting yourself up for massive risk, because we don't know that Bitcoin's going to bottom at 24K. You're using the assumption, right, that Bitcoin's going to bottom at 24K and it's going to go back up within the next few months, right? It's not the case, right? It's likely, it's definitely likely, but it's not something we know for certain. So why would you not wait until 24K, you know, assess that probability in your head, wait until 24K, see what happens at 24K, and guess what? If it's good at 24K, buy it at 24K. Or guess what? If we go to 24K and it bounces, buy at 30K, you know, where you wanted to buy in the first place. Who cares, right? Because you're going to buy there anyway. Just wait for the confirmation. And then guess what? The best part about that is that if we go to 24K and we drop below it, you wouldn't have bought at 30K. And then if we go to 10K, you know, we've dropped below 24K, we go to 10K, guess what? You're 66% down on your portfolio. So of course it matters. Of course it matters where you buy. You want to get in the best price possible, not only to maximize your return, but also to minimize your risk so you don't go broke and dead bankrupt. That is a ridiculous question. And I get a lot of people asking that all the time. And I just think to myself, every time I hear it, it's just a classic example of, the permanently bullish YouTubers and Twitter accounts, just rarely taking influence in the space and just absolutely sprouting out this absolute BS about the market and investing and risk management that people believe, because on paper, on the first thought, it's like, it sounds good, because obviously we're all bullish on Bitcoin, right? We think Bitcoin's going to go up in the future. I think Bitcoin will hit $1 million one day. I don't know when, but it's going to hit it, right? In my opinion. However, that's not guaranteed. You're acting like it's guaranteed when in fact it's not. You need to be applying proper mismanagement, and buying at whatever price, because in 5 years it'll be higher, is not proper risk management. It's plain gambling. Aaron says, thank you. Do you think once we get down to the 200-week SMA, there will be a few weeks or months of accumulation, or do you think it'll be more of a wick? Now, look, Aaron, the only way to answer your question is to look at what's happened historically, okay? So the only two natural times we've gone down to the 200-week SMA is 2018 and 2015 and 2018. In 2015, we were there from January 2015 all the way through to October 2015. For 10 months, we were at the 200-week SMA. For 10 months, you had an opportunity to buy there, right? In 2018, we dropped down there, we reached there in November 2018, and we kind of lifted off fully in April 2019. So you had about 5 months there. So 10 months in 2015, 5 months in 2018, and then the only other time we've ever gone there is for COVID crash, which obviously was an event that we couldn't really have predicted, right? It was a black swan event. So we don't really have an actual trend identified. It's hard to answer this, but if I had to guess, I would say, provided there isn't some random black swan event like the COVID crash, I would say we'd be seeing at least a couple of months of consolidation on the 200-week SMA. Because what you see generally, right? Remember, guys, the only reason price moves down or up is because people are buying or selling. So when you go to something like the 200-week SMA, a macro bottom, right? You see a large amount of consolidation if that trend is going to flip, right? Because it's the process of people going from, during the drop down, bearish selling to neutral, doing nothing, and some people are buying, some people are selling, equal amount of buyers and sellers, to bullish, right? It's a transition from bearish to neutral to bullish. So generally that transition on a macro time frame takes a long period of time because it's a longer term time frame. So I would expect to happen for at least a couple of months of accumulation in that region. You'll probably have plenty of time to buy. Now, on the other hand, obviously, and this goes without saying, if we're going to see a breakdown from 24K from a 200-week SMA and break below it, which would be a first for Bitcoin, it would happen very, very quickly because there would be no need for such a long, drawn-out transition from bearish power to bullish power. It would just stay bearish, right? So it's hard to answer your question. However, if I had to predict based off the macro trend, I would say it would be at least a couple of months of consolidation at 200-week SMA. So don't stress. You'll have plenty of time to buy it. You don't need to stay up all night every night. You can probably just wait and see what happens with it. But again, I want to really consolidate that point to you guys, right? The 200-week SMA is not guaranteed to hold. Okay, it is the most likely place we bottom out. Most likely is not the same as certain. Just keep that in mind. I wanted to rush through all the content today. You'll notice I've been a bit of a rush in this video, kind of rushing through every chart. I want to get some new content going with Bitcoin. I know that a lot of this content is old news at this point, but however, a lot of the market is old news. There's not much going on that's new in the market. We're going down. We're going down. That's all there is to say. So I'm trying to get all this content out, try to get as many people involved as possible, as many people on board as possible, just so we can, save people as much money as possible. And that's been the goal for Wolves of Crypto, and that's what I want to try and keep doing. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoy the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.